Welcome to episode 84 of the Brainy Business, understanding the psychology of why people buy. Today's episode is about how to stack your products and services so they're most appealing to potential customers. Ready? Let's get started.
You are listening to the Brainy Business Podcast, where we dig into the psychology of why people buy and help you incorporate behavioral economics into your business, making it more brain-friendly. Now here's your host, Melina Palmer.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melina Palmer, and I want to welcome you to the Brainy Business Podcast. Last week, we talked about organizing your brain. I gave out a lot of my favorite tips, tricks, and tools for keeping busy brains moving forward instead of spiraling. There is a link to that episode, number 83, and its freebie worksheet in the show notes for this episode, which you can find at thebrainybusiness.com/84 or right in the app you're listening to. The show notes for today's episode will have all the links and details of what I talk about today, including a very exciting new thing you're going to want to know about. If you're already on the Brainy Business list, you've already heard about that in the email you get from me every Friday, and a special one that was sent out on Monday announcing the very exciting thing, which I'll get to in just a second. If you want to be on that list and first to know about cool, exciting things, simply sign up for any freebie, including the one for episode 83. Or if you're in the States, you can text the word Brainy to 33777 and you'll be automatically added to the list. I say every week that one of the perks of being on the Brainy Business list is that you're first to know about new stuff that's released and awesome discounts, things like that. And that definitely held true this week when I announced the membership group from the Brainy Business, which is now open. It's called the Be Thoughtful Revolution. I have had listeners asking about a membership group for a while now, and I have been working on creating this for you for months, and I'm so excited it is finally here. Members of the Be Thoughtful Revolution get direct access to me for all your behavioral economics questions. I'll be answering those in the dedicated Facebook community, where I will also be doing live Q&As, trainings, and all sorts of other stuff. I'm sure are just going to evolve as the group grows and you ask for things. Members will also get special discounts on workshops, products, and virtual strategy sessions, and will be first to know when new stuff is coming out. And they're also going to be able to snag seats at events and things before anybody else. And one of the biggest things is immediate access to the courses and exclusive content from the Brainy Business. So if you've been thinking about the Brainy Pricing course or Brainy Mindset course over the last several months while you've heard me talking about them, those are each $399 in value, about $800 total, but you've been waiting for the right time to act on that. It's now. The Mindset course is launching with our first live call on February 6th, and the content is available now. And like I said, pricing is evergreen and waiting for you right now in the Be Thoughtful Revolution membership group. So when you join the Revolution, you have immediate access to both of those courses and lots of other great stuff. The regular price for the membership with all of that stuff is only $99 a month. And remember, just those two courses, you're getting $800 in value right off the bat. But the first 50 people who sign up with the code LAUNCH, LAUNCH, and I have to be honest, a bunch of those were snapped up already when I made that first announcement, but there are still some left at the time of this recording. So the first 50 people who sign up and use the code LAUNCH will lock in their membership for only $39 a month. That is 60% off and an amazingly killer deal. You want to jump on this. And if the 50 spots don't sell out by this time, that discount code is only good until March 1st. So if you're thinking about it, you're considering it, you want to move forward with that now. There is, again, a link for you in the show notes. The code is listed there. But again, it's LAUNCH to get your membership and all its perks for only $39 a month. If you have questions, you can always email me, melina@thebrainybusiness.com. And there's a link to the Be Thoughtful Revolution all over my social media where you can find me as The Brainy Biz, and in the show notes for this episode at thebrainybusiness.com/84. Thanks to everyone who has already signed up. I'm so excited to have you in that membership. We're going to have a lot of fun there, and I look forward to seeing you in there soon as well. Now, let's talk about stacking and bundling products and services. I've definitely talked about this concept before on the podcast. And if you've heard me present at a conference or something, you've likely heard me mention it and the concepts I'm going to talk about here, especially when I've talked about the truth about pricing. And in most presentations, I talk about the concept of anchoring and adjustment and relativity, which are the real core concepts at play in this technique. But I've been getting a lot of really specific questions about this recently, including one from, and I apologize if I pronounce this wrong, Dr. Thitapa, also goes by T. Sheena Prayun in Thailand, who asked me about this on LinkedIn. She said, "I'm not sure if you've covered this yet, but I'd love to hear more about product bundling. It could be related to the decoy effect or Dan Ariely's magazine subscription study, but I'd love to understand more why and when people buy bundling and packages." And thanks for that question, T, and everyone else who's been asking about this. First, here are some refresher points. The magazine subscription study is the concept of relativity, which was episode 12 of the podcast, and you've probably heard me talk about that one before. Anchoring and adjustment was episode 11 on the podcast and is about our brains being swayed by numbers. As I said, both of those are linked for you in the show notes at thebrainybusiness.com/84. The Snickers study I share all the time is part of this concept of anchoring, where changing an end cap display from saying Snickers, buy them for your freezer, to Snickers, buy 18 for your freezer, resulted in a 38% increase in sales. Pretty significant. This is because the brain latches on to the number 18 and will move up or down from there. This is the same concept that makes it so people buy more when something is labeled as 10 for $10 than if it's labeled as $1 each. Same value, but the number leads the choices the brain makes. This can also work with limits. So if you say a discount has a limit, maybe cans of soup that are 75 cents each, limit 12, people will buy more than they would if there was no stated limit. Now, think about how ridiculous that is. When there's no limit and I could buy 100 or 1,000 cans of soup for 75 cents, assuming there was enough in stock and I wanted to carry all of that, I might get 2 or 3. But when it's listed with a limit of 12, I might get 8 or 9 or even 12, a number I wouldn't have considered without the limit being put in front of me. These are all because of anchoring, and even unrelated numbers can have an impact on this when it comes to buying behavior. For example, if you say, "I've helped lots of people from around the world to change their lives and businesses, and I have packages starting at $500. It doesn't have the same impact as saying, "I've helped thousands of people from around the world change their lives and businesses, and I have packages starting at just $500. Throwing in thousands of people makes it so 500 seems smaller. And what if instead someone said, "More than 8,000 people from around the world have changed their lives and businesses because of working with me, and I have packages starting at just $500. Did the more specific number make a difference? It's because it is an anchor. And you can see there it works with something unrelated. 8,000 people is unrelated to the amount of money being asked for. And yes, I will also note that herding can be helping us here as well. But the point is, the brain kind of glosses over what it hears at any given time because there's so much going on. Tons it's evaluating all the time. It hears a number and latches onto it for a while. So that first number is really, really important. Think about infomercials. You know the ones I'm talking about. They say something like, You might expect to pay $500 for a product like this from some other retailers, but you won't pay $500. You won't even pay $400 or $300. But for just 4 easy payments of $49.99, you'll get your new ridiculous gadget delivered to your door. And if you act within the next 10 minutes, we'll add this bonus gift, a $75 value, and knock off one of your payments. So now you get the X and the Y for just 3 easy payments of $49.99. Can you name the concepts? We saw scarcity, loss aversion, anchoring, reciprocity, all in just a few sentences. Your brain likely didn't have any preset number for what it thought that random item was worth or what you would pay for it somewhere else. Often the things we see on infomercials are crazy contraptions we never would have thought of and haven't seen before. Maybe fixing a problem we didn't know we had, like flipping eggs in a pan or having a blanket with sleeves. If they said, "Hey, how much would you expect to pay for something like this?" What would everyone say? Probably, I don't know. Your brain doesn't want to do that math or think about it. And you're entering into a potential minefield of possibilities. What if they say $10 and you were going to charge $50? That's an uphill battle you'll almost never win. Whether they want to believe or admit it or not, even if you say you may have expected to pay $300 for a blanket with sleeves, and the first instinct of the customer is to laugh and say, "Yeah, right," it still impacts their brain and becomes an anchor on the final price. Now, you don't want to start by saying something is worth $300,000 and I'm giving it to you for just 99 cents. There is a line where it feels like a complete and total scam. Too much disparity between your numbers and it doesn't feel real, and it's really bad branding for you. So putting a reasonable number out there first for the value or what you might expect to pay somewhere else is setting the anchor that makes it easier to accept the real price when it gets announced. Again, people may say it doesn't impact them, but it does. If you ever discount something or offer a special, make sure you talk about the higher number first. When I shared about my membership group early in the episode, I did this, and you have likely noticed me using the concepts throughout all of my episodes, social posts, and more. I really practice what I preach here, but I'm going to break it down for you, what I did and how I talked about the membership, because as with everything I do, it was very thoughtfully put together. When I introduced the group, I talked about the benefits to you first. So you were learning about why you would want that, what the value was, what it was worth to you, and mentioned that people have been asking for it, which is true. And that's a combination of herding and priming. Then I mentioned that you would get access to the Brainy Mindset course and the Brainy Pricing course, which are both $399 for a combined value of $800. As a quick side note here, listen to how $399 sounds like more than $399. This would also make a difference if I said the value was $1,200 versus more than $1,200 in value. Same thing, but the brain hears it differently. That's framing. Now back to my example. After sharing the value just in the courses being at $800, I shared the regular rate of the group, which is just $99 a month. I then reminded you of the $800 and said that the first 50 people could use a code to claim their spot at only $39 a month. If I would have started out by saying, "I've launched a membership group and those who sign up first can get their spot for just $39, but that's limited to 50 people and the real value is $99 a month," it feels completely different, right? All the other values are true. There is over $800 of value just in the courses. Plus, you get me answering questions on demand, and live Q&As are worth way more than that. But you can't assume people are going to put 2 and 2 together. They won't. You need to spell it out for them in the right order to have the proper pieces hit their brain at the right time. And know that saying things are priceless doesn't help your anchoring case. Just like them was a fancy word for zero in the Snickers example, Priceless is not establishing a value in the brain that makes the number you're selling the item for any more appealing. Instead of saying something is priceless, and I can appreciate that sometimes your value might be very different from one client to the next or what they're able to apply from it, but you need to find some way to quantify what working with you or buying your thing is worth to somebody to help establish these numbers in something that's not priceless. So maybe you could look for a testimonial from someone that would say, working with Melina earned me an extra $1 million in revenue last year. Who knows what she can do for you? It's going to have a lot more impact than saying working with Melina was priceless. You hear the difference, right? So that's some foundation on anchoring and adjusting. And you can listen to more of that on episode 11. And those of you in the Be Thoughtful Revolution, there's an entire piece on this in the pricing course with worksheets and all sorts of great stuff. The next thing to call out, which I mentioned at the beginning of the episode and showcasing a bit already, is relativity. The second number feels lower or higher based on how it compares relative to the first number, which is the anchor. So if you say, my rates start at $25 an hour, and for a project like this, I would expect it to be a minimum of $500. $500 sounds high relative to the $25 you started with, and people will likely ask about discounts and how to reduce that $500 investment. If instead you say, there's a $500 project minimum, and based on what you've shared about the work, I would expect us to be right in that range. Anything over that will be charged at the hourly rate of $25. Now, 25 feels small relative to 500, and it makes it feel like you're a safer investment because even if your estimate is off by a couple hours, it isn't that much to add on $25 at a time. Same numbers, but the way they are shared via framing, relativity, and anchoring make all the difference in how the customer reacts. Those are examples for when you're presenting one thing and you want to use anchoring and relativity to showcase the value, like when you're running a sale or maybe if you're first launching. This next tactic is for when you have multiple options available and want to showcase one of them. It's your job as the person presenting the options, the expert in this thing that someone is looking to buy, to make a recommendation and help someone find the best option for them. It does not have to be the least expensive thing available, and don't sell yourself short just because you're scared to raise prices. I help people with that all the time, and it is common, but we're keeping ourselves smaller than we deserve to be because of that fear. The same rules of anchoring, framing, and relativity apply in this case. You don't want to show the least expensive thing first and work your way up to more expensive products and services. You always start big and work your way down. As I teach in the Brainy pricing course, and getting back to the question from T that I shared earlier, I advise my clients to first find the best product. This is what you are wanting to sell, and it's often the best value for your clients and what most of them should get. Then you need to create a high anchor that you present before that, which is similar in many ways, but obviously less appealing for some reason. You may also have a third product or service, but I'll get to that in a minute. So first is your best product. To create that, you want to look at what you're happiest and most excited about having out there in the world, whether it's a physical product you're creating or a service being offered. What is the best? What could you sell and then do the work to provide all day, every day? You may need to make some modifications to your existing offerings, and that's okay. You're doing this work now, so you might as well do it right. When you create this, be honest about your numbers. How much does it cost to offer this thing? And how much should you make in providing it? What's fair to you while providing great value to the customer? This is the Know Your Numbers section of the pricing course. In general, whatever you put together and feel good about, if it's comfortable for you, consider adding 10% to the amount you're going to charge. I recently wrote an article for Inc. magazine called Why You Should Overestimate the True Value of Your Products, which showcases a question I often ask my clients or encourage them to consider when looking at raising prices, which is, what would happen if you charged 10 times more? This is another anchoring tactic and can make a small increase seem easier to take on. If you often struggle with raising prices, really consider doing this. So if you're charging $90 for something today, what would make it so someone would be willing to pay $900 for it? What would need to change? Or what do you already offer that's worth that value? How would you talk about it to show it was worth this higher amount, this 10 times bigger amount? And now that you've thought through all of that, even though it's hypothetical, it makes it much easier to increase to just $99, and you can feel much more confident in that price. Easy and a really amazing way to use anchoring to your advantage in increasing your prices. So back to your development and the stack of offerings. You have your best thing created and you know what you want to charge for it, where you're going to feel really good if you sold a bunch of them. Now, you need to create the high anchor. This is the wingman of the best offer, and its only job is to make that best thing look good. Someone might want to get that high anchor, so you should be prepared to offer it and have it be a great deal for someone if they buy it, that you want to actually be able to give that to people, but it isn't something you expect a lot of people to get. So you can build it into this really big thing that's a higher number than what you may be used to talking about. I've helped countless clients with this process in all kinds of businesses. Let's say you have a retainer you offer for graphic design services at $1,000 a month. If this is the only thing you offer and you say, I have a retainer for $1,000 a month if you want, would you like that? There's no relativity to show value, so it doesn't encourage the brain to move forward. It will instead create uncertainty and make someone feel like they need to do some due diligence. They need to go away, surf the competition, and they might never come back. You don't want that. So instead, you want to create the thing above that, the big, giant, awesome thing that most people don't need, but some might want. Say you would start with an in-person day where you fly them to you or you go out to them, and it adds an extra $6,000 to the total, making it $1,500 a month with a 12-month contract. Or if you have a standard turnaround time of 72 hours on request, they can get 48 hours or 24 hours on turns for a larger investment to be a premium client. Or if you have a basic package of the types of designs and things you do for the main amount, and they want to rebrand at the beginning and have a more robust grouping of items, it's $2,500 a month. I talked about this also in episode 10 of the podcast, where I did that on-air coaching call with Marielle, and we were talking about creating the big package of the, princess for a day, getting the first ear piercing done. You can go back and listen to that. It is linked in the show notes as well. It doesn't matter what you choose to create here. It's unique to you. And this is the type of question I will be answering for members in the Be Thoughtful Revolution. You can just post the actual offer that you're thinking about providing, and I answer where I would recommend tweaks in your specific circumstance, just like I did for Marielle on that coaching call. So let's say you have the bigger package at $2,500 that you're offering, and that's something where you could say, I have multiple packages available. The first includes a complete brand evaluation and refresh, and includes work for everything from Facebook ads to billboards and everything in between. That one is $2,500 a month. Or if you aren't doing things like billboard and bus ads and don't require rebranding, there's a $1,000 retainer package, which sounds like the best option for you. Notice they're both valid and useful for different groups. And if someone needs billboards or a brand refresh, they might pick the bigger package. But for most people, the $1,000 package is enough, and they'll be thankful you created this package for them. It also establishes you as an expert because you know what most people need and you aren't out to gouge people. You've done these bigger projects, you can do them, but you're putting the client's need first to create packages that fit their needs and aren't more than what they're wanting to invest in, which is nice. It feels good as a customer to hear those things. If you want, you can also create a third product that's totally different and can help the brain feel like it did some due diligence. But this isn't always necessary. Like in that graphic design example, including a third option might just be confusing and the brain gets overwhelmed and just, that's a lot of stuff. So you can put two things out there, give them a moment. And if they say, neither of those sounds like a fit, then you could include a third option. Or if they're leaning towards something, you can kind of build on that. But you don't need to just be throwing out all the things. Even if you have 20 different packages, you don't list them all out. You pick the top thing that fits this person and have a preset idea of what its high anchor is for what you're trying to give to this person to help them to see it's the best choice for them. So here's an example where you might use the 3 options. And this can be important if you have a bigger investment, like people buying homes or expensive furniture, things that they get a physical item that they can look at or touch and experience can be really valuable in this way when you have the third option. So I have given the examples of sofas if you're an interior designer, so let's go ahead and revisit that. Let's say you know your client wants a navy blue sofa and is more inclined toward a modern, clean line on their pieces. You've found a great option that's $3,000. So you start with a couch that looks as close to that one as possible, but is more expensive, and you would show that first. So you would take them first to couch E for expensive and say, here is a navy couch with modern and clean lines like you're looking for. They start to enjoy and feel the fabric, maybe sit on it, and then you can let them know this one is $7,500. We also have this one over here, which is a slightly lighter shade of blue and has more of a pattern than you were looking for. It also has some more curved lines, and that one is at $4,500. And we have this one over here, which is really similar to that $7,500 one you liked originally. And it's still expertly crafted with a 10-year warranty. And it's only $3,000. I thought of you instantly when this one came in. Which one can you see in your home? So you hopefully saw the high anchor, the $7,500 option that's very similar to the $3,000 couch. And that high anchor in this case is also the decoy. And we have a confidence builder, the $4,500 option that's not quite the right style either. And it all makes the best option of the $3,000 couch look like the obvious best choice. And they feel like they did some due diligence by seeing something that's not quite what they want, something that's way too expensive. You feel like you're getting a deal. It all works together. And the numbers can shift around. So even when we increase that to $39.99, it still looks like the best option compared to the other two. And you know it's a great choice for them. You're helping them to feel good about the investment by showing other available options. You don't have to show everything that exists to have done due diligence. And actually that will overwhelm most people and really talk them out of something they could and probably would have been very happy with. If the $3,000 option was the best one, and you started with that and then showed a $2,000 option, they're unlikely to choose the $3,000 couch, and they just might be less satisfied with it because it feels more expensive. If instead you start with a $2,000 option and move up to the $3,000 option, they're even less likely to get that best choice $3,000 couch. It is your responsibility, again, to present options in the best way to help someone make the best choice. The context and relativity all matters and makes a difference. And for everyone listening, I trust and I know that my listeners are lifelong learners. You want to be able to sell everything with integrity and help people find the best choices for them. Go forward with the best possible intentions and don't use these powers for evil, please. I appreciate it. It does take a little bit of extra work on the front end to make sure you're presenting options in the right order to help the customer make their best choice. But it's a very, very little bit of extra work, and it makes the entire selling process so much easier. If instead you unintentionally made it so someone was unsure if they were getting the best option by talking about a $3,000 and a $2,000 option, and then they're just sort of, I don't know, and I can't make a choice. You're following up with lots of phone calls and emails. It will take much more time on the back end, and they'll be less happy with what they got than if you would have done the little bit of extra work and framed the offer in the proper way. All right. The last thing I want to talk to you about on this episode is bundling. Bundles are great tools and they can be oh so useful. Often, bundles are provided with a discount, and many of our minds go there first when we're looking to make our own offers, and I will talk about that a little bit, but it's not required. Often on Amazon or other sites, you may even be paying a premium to get a bundle and not even realize it. And that's okay. Like I said, most people don't even notice when they are paying for this. And the difference in the price is worth not having to waste time digging around Amazon looking for the right things for what you're trying to create. If you, the business, put in the extra effort to create a bundle to make it easy on your customers to get all of the things they need with 1 or 2 clicks, you can charge more for that. I'm doing a training next month for the Amazon Files Mommy Income Group on this topic. If you sell on Amazon and are interested in bundling, you should check out their courses, and there is a link for you in the show notes. Essentially, let's say that you're selling all the pieces for a kid's birthday party. You sell hats for $2, napkins for $2, plates for $3, a banner and balloons for $3, and favors for another $8. Someone could spend forever searching for each item one at a time and then adding them to their cart, and maybe half an hour later, they have everything they need. Or if I search for Pokemon party supplies and a bundle comes back that has everything I need for $25, I'll probably just buy it. I mean, wouldn't you? One-stop shopping convenience is great. Quick question. Did you do the math and add up what each of those things was worth as I rattled them off to you? It was only $18. The numbers are fictitious, of course, but the point is, it doesn't matter. You heard, ooh, everything I need for only $25 and I can check it off my to-do list? Score. Some people will take the time to look around and buy each thing separately. Hopefully still from you, which would be great, but most won't. And everyone wins in that scenario. You can also bundle with the exact same value, no premium pricing and no discount, and that can work as well. I've had people decide to include a bundle to become their high anchor and simply added together everything they offer with no discount on it. Say you have a $500 course and an $800 course and a $600 course. They aren't packages like you either get $500, $600, or $800 options, but things people could add on top of one another and get them all. If you present it as, we offer 3 courses. The first one is $500 and it's on getting more friends. There's also a $600 course on being a better friend and an $800 course on being awesome. Which would you like to start with? In that case, you're leading them to the $500 course because it became the anchor. If instead you say, we offer 3 courses. The first one is the $800 Intro to Awesomeness course. We also have the Being a Better Friend course for $600 and the Finding More Friends course for $500. Which would you like to start with? Most people will choose the $600 course, the middle option in that case, or again, the $500 one. But most are not going to get the $800 option because it's the highest thing available. If instead you say, you can get the ultimate package for $1,900, where you get all 3 courses, or you can always start with the Intro to Awesomeness course, which is $800. What sounds like the best fit for you? In that case, you're making the $800 course a clear best option. Some people might not get them all, but a lot will start with that one. And it's the most expensive individual course that most wouldn't have picked when presented in the other 2 ways. There was no discount on the bundle, but presenting it in this way and what you chose to talk about instead of listing off every single thing made a big difference in the way it was heard. And one thing I want to point out is that the brain of the customer will likely be thinking that if this course is $800, the other ones are probably $800 or close to that. By saying that the package is $1,900 and you get 3 courses and this other one is $800, it very much feels like you're going to get the value of 800 times 3, or at least close to it. So 1900 sounds like a good value. So in this exact presentation, even though it's an even adding of everything that's available of all 3 courses, 1900 in this case might be something that people start to pick, getting the full bundle because of presenting it in this way. And it seems like it might be worth more like $2,400. As always, it's in the information that you're providing, the context that makes it clear what the best choice and clear best offer is. As I've already said, in the way that was outlined, you very likely don't need to include any sort of a discount to make that ultimate package sound like the best deal or offer. But if you did want to include a discount or a bundle, you could say it was $1,750 or something if you got all 3 courses. But again, you want to look at those numbers, how they play off of each other, and you always want to know what it is that you're trying to showcase. What is the best thing? What should people be getting from you? To do this, you want to start by defining that main thing, the best offer, what you would want 80% of your business to come from, and build everything around making that look as good as possible. The way you talk about it, the framing shifts based on what you want to showcase and what most people should pick. So if the $800 package is the best thing, then you want to present it differently than if the $600 package is the best thing. It all goes to reinforce what I'm always telling you, that pricing is never about price. All the other stuff that comes before the price, the context, the anchoring, framing, relativity, priming, scarcity, those all matter more than the price itself. You can build your offering to be anything you want it to be. And if you understand the value and can properly communicate it, you will find people to buy what you're selling. Whether it's a product or a service, whether you're at a large corporation or are a solopreneur. If you're selling bleach or designer handbags, the formula is always the same, and the brain uses these same concepts all the time. You just want to pull the right levers in the right order to lead your customer down the best path toward that best product, so it's clearly their best choice, instead of inadvertently directing them so that they're going to get distracted by something else that's going to make them less happy and you less happy and is a lose-lose instead of a win-win. And of course, if you want help with these concepts and how to apply them, join the Be Thoughtful Revolution membership group today. You'll have access to that Brainy pricing course, which, as I've said, has full lessons and robust worksheets to help you through this process. And you can ask me questions in the group when you have them. There's a link for you in the show notes at thebrainybusiness.com/84. And remember to use your code LAUNCH to get 60% off, which again is only for the first 50 people who sign up. And then you can lock in your rate at just $39 a month. I'm ready to answer your questions and help incorporate behavioral economics into your business. I'll see you in the revolution. And just like that, episode 84 on stacking and bundling your offerings is done. Next week, On episode 85, I'm interviewing Radu and Raluca Judel, creators of the awesome new browser extension, Brainy tab. You're going to love this thing. It is so cool. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Until then, thanks again for listening and learning with me. And remember to be thoughtful.
Thank you for listening to the Brainy Business Podcast. Molina offers virtual strategy sessions, workshops, and other services to help businesses be more brain-friendly. For more free resources, visit thebrainybusiness.com.